All right, Kevin, thanks for joining us this morning. Kevin McGill, tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and why we're talking.
Well, I am Kevin McGill. I own a wine brokerage, which we represent many different properties from Maine to Florida. And a few years back, with a buddy of mine, Bob Campbell, who also owns a brokerage in the Midwest, we started up Campbell & McGill Selections. And in that company, we make a Chardonnay called Stillman Street Chardonnay. And then we have branched out and are now making Chardonnay for you guys. It is primarily made from Sonoma fruit. Well, it's all Sonoma County, but one particular winery, Stummler Vineyards, which is on the banks of the Russian River, is where the majority of the grapes come from. And that is a renowned vineyard with a great winemaker, Leo Hansen, who also is our winemaker. So that's where we started off, and that's what we're making for you guys right now.
Right, great. So let's talk just a little bit about about Stummler, a little bit about their history real quick, and maybe about the Alexander Valley and why that's sort of special.
Sure. Stummler is a great property, which I've represented and still do for over 15 years. It is on the banks of the Russian River. So literally the Chardonnay is right on the benchland, which follows the Russian River. Their property, 150 acres, is on 3 different AVAs. It is Russian River, it is Alexander Valley, and it is, what's the third one? I'm drawing blank. Yeah.
Noma?
No, Chalk Hill. Chalk Hill is the third. So yeah, Chalk Hill. So really 3 AVAs that come together on this 150 acres. Chardonnay on the benchland, and then as you climb up about a 900-foot elevation, they grow Cabernet as well. The Chardonnay is from an old Wente clone called the Upper Barn Clone, which was from the Gower estate back in the 70s that had gained a lot of critical acclaim. A lot of the vines are 30 to 40 years old, but they are starting to be replanted now because they're not producing as much as they used to. Sure. But really beautiful Chardonnay, full flavored. Leo, in particular, really likes to pick his grapes a little bit on the younger side to emphasize the acidity, the natural acidity. It is a beautiful property that uses all indigenous yeast in the Chardonnay. We do some Malo on this particular vintage, the 18. Specifically on the 18 vintage, 80% of the fruit came from Stummler Vineyard, and 20% came from a property called Jackson Keys in Mendocino, which is a property that we found and really kind of fell in love with. Because when we walked through the vineyard with the winemaker, we saw that the vines actually are 1983, so really old vine Chardonnay. Yields were impossibly small. It wouldn't be a very profitable vineyard if you owned it, but it has some beautiful fruit. So we blended that in, and it really made us a really nice Chardonnay.
So real quick, old vine Chardonnay, why would that be important? Why would old vines matter?
Well, smaller yields, less fruit, smaller berries, but more flavor. Very intense flavor, and that's what we're really looking for. I mean, what Bob Campbell, my partner, and myself look for is Chardonnay that is really representative of that terroir. We want Chardonnay that's going to be clean. We want Chardonnay that tastes like Chardonnay. We don't over oak our Chard. This is 50% oak. Most of that is neutral barrel, meaning barrels that are 4 to 12-year-old barrels that we purchased from great wineries, Ramey, Stummler, and a couple others throughout Sonoma. So we've got beautiful French oak barrels, but they've all been seasoned from many years of use. And what it gives you is nice complexity, but without over oaking the Chard. It's not that big baseball kind of flavor.
Right. So we're in the middle of selling the 2018 vintage right now. We've got a little while to go, and so tell us a little bit about 18 as a vintage and how this wine was actually made, and then what we're looking forward to for the 19 vintage.
Well, the 18, as I mentioned, is 80-20, 80 Stummler fruit, 20% Jackson Keys Vineyard. It was all, half of it was done in barrel, half of it was done in tank. The amounts that were done in barrel were in barrel for about 9 to 10 months. Yeah. And again, we bought 10 brand new French oak barrels to blend in with 100 something barrels that we have. So there's a little bit of new French oak, 10% new French oak in the 50% that is oaked. But you're getting a cleaner Chard and a crisper, almost more Chablis style Chardonnay in the 18. Whereas in the 19, we did go and, talking with you and talking with some other people to make it a little bit deeper, a little bit richer. We actually went 100% barrel ferment. So we bought an additional 100 plus barrels. Again, mostly 3 to 7 year old barrels. So we have 100% barrel fermentation, 100% barrel aging. It's going to go for about 11 months this time, or maybe 10 months this time in barrel. And we're going to look for a little bit bigger, deeper Chard, a little more flavor.
Yeah, I tasted the barrel sample a little while ago, a couple months ago, and it tasted pretty good. I like the nice little step up. You know, when we in the oak flavor, when we taste through and do staff trainings with 18, you get nice elegance. But I think we're pleased with the balance, but that little extra oakiness that I think we might be looking forward to in the 19 is going to be really great for our customers and our guests.
Yeah. I think the one thing you might want to tell your staff is that the 18, because it does have that bright acid and it's got a citrus component to it, is not a bad oyster wine.
Right.
It really, very few Chardonnays in my mind. If you go to Chablis, you get some wines
California.
that go well with oysters, but this one actually does pair very well with oysters.
Yeah. No, definitely with food and wine pairing. I mean, we've got a really nice response with this. So a little bit more on the seafood, like you mentioned, oysters and other lighter dishes. As we step up a little bit in the oakiness with the next vintage to come down, a little bit fuller bodied seafood, salmons, tunas, and then obviously poultry, things like that. It's actually just a nice all-around wine, pretty classic California style from Sonoma. So, all right, key one or two key bullet points just to remember about Stubler or the wine you want to leave us with.
Well, I would say, in terms of the vineyard, it's just an idyllic property. I mean, you drive in, you're in the woods for half a mile, and then it opens up. There's 150 acres, literally on the banks of the Russian River, beautiful AVAs. Our winemaker, Leo Steen Hansen, is a Danish-trained sommelier turned winemaker who's getting critical acclaim throughout California from some of the, top people in the industry. And he's our winemaker going forward. So we really think we've got a good team. We've got good access to the fruit. So we plan on producing Stillman for many years to come, and for your wine as well.
All right. Sounds good. Really appreciate it. Max Family Reserve Chardonnay. I know it's backwards there, but that's our house Chardonnay. Thanks, Kevin.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Take care.
Appreciate it.